Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
Welcome along. It's the Noel Concorde Odyssey again. We're looking at the 1989 BBC One special, which was broadcast on a Sunday afternoon, where Noel Edmonds took to the skies and flew from the UK to the USA and showed us what it's all about, and also padded the 50-minute show out with loads of other stuff that's pretty dull, really, which is what we're going to kind of get to today. We might bring this to a close today, but you never know.
You don't
we
know.
might get sidetracked.
You just
again.
don't know when you're dabbling in Noel play. When you dabble with Noel, I've thought throughout this and any other analysis we've done of Noel Edmonds over the years that in a way, without us knowing, he's pulling the strings. Do you know what I mean?
You think?
Yeah, because he's like a master of the dark arts of broadcasting.
Yeah.
And he'll have known, like the Emperor in Return of the Jedi goes, just as I have foreseen it. And he always goes, it was I who, who released the plans for the Death Star to your friends and all the rest of it, right? It's sort of like, I can imagine Noel sitting in his throne at his New Zealand compound going, you fools. It was I who lured you into analysing my Christmas specials from the 80s. And it was I who subsequently fooled you into doing a deep dive into my Concorde special, right? Because he's sort of like, this is how I stay relevant. I liked imbeciles like you talking about me on your podcast.
You think that even in 1989 he knew that somewhere down the line, historians, which is what we are, would be looking back at it and analysing it to the nth degree.
It wouldn't surprise me either if you can go into the archives and find out that even in the late 80s he was the first to coin the phrase podcast. And that when people asked him about the future of broadcasting, which is exactly the sort of thing they would have always asked him about, he would have said, well, I mean, in a couple of decades' time, it'll all be done online. It'll be known as podcasting, and people will listen to it mainly through their telephones. Get your nut round that, cunt.
He had his own online radio station for a while. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I forgot what that was called again. It was he made a big deal of launching it, and then it kind of disappeared after about 6 months, I think. Noel Edmonds online radio, and he had that machine as well that was going to cure cancer. Positivity radio, that was it.
Yeah, nice
Positivity
idea, really.
Radio. Whoa, this is only 2020.
I wouldn't mind.
I'm sure he did another one before that.
I wouldn't mind nicking that name and fucking putting our, like Positivity Radio is a good name for a podcast or a band or an album.
Yeah, he launched it in 2020 during the lockdown. I thought he did one before that.
Probably has. I mean, it's quite easy to... He could do it sitting in bed in the morning. I mean, anyone can start up an online radio station. I've often dabbled with the idea myself. It won't surprise you to hear.
Not at all. No, I mean, we could do that, I reckon.
Yeah, we could,
easily.
No problem. Yeah.
Do you remember when he tried to buy the BBC that time and he went on Newsnight?
Yeah.
Said he was going to buy the BBC and then didn't buy the BBC. Brilliant. Classic Noel play. So where were we at with this?
He was going to install. He was going to buy the BBC and install Blobby as Director General.
Yeah. Blobby just wearing a suit.
Yeah. I'm going to make Keith Chegwin the head of programming on BBC Two, which for too long now has been the refuge of fucking bores, idiots, and swats. And
head of news,
social outcasts.
Head of news, Craven, obviously. Getting the gang back together.
And
What's that? Chegwin's dead? What?
Posh Paws is coming back. I'm putting him in charge of the fucking Ofcom related issues. Make him our head of legal.
Some people say he's a dinosaur, but I say no. He's as forward thinking as any toy out there.
I tell you what, he's a dinosaur, but he's got more fresh ideas than any of those cunts in fucking Downing Street. Next question.
I will say though, his breath does stink. Don't get too close to him. Back on the plane, fucking Noel says that regular viewers of BBC television will know that John Hutchinson, who was the pilot on this thing, has another life outside of Concorde. I mean, fucking hell, that could be anything. That could be a legal minefield. Yeah. But it turns out he's a regular member of the BBC aviation team. And Noel does a little interview with John Hutchinson. He says, "This is a good moment to ask about the performance of Concorde. Have you got a spare moment?" Of course he has, because this thing fucking flies itself, doesn't it, really? And he shows Noel some of the dials and switches, and there's not really very many, is there?
No.
That seem to be all that important. Noel wants to see a guided tour of the systems, whatever that means. There's lots of Noel in this kind of either genuinely or pretending to be really clued up on all the jargon of flying Concorde or similar, because he's a helicopter man, isn't he, by day? We don't
Very
know
much so.
We don't know what he's done in.
He's a man of the sky.
He's a man of the skies. It's all the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
He says they've got flight instruments in front of me, engine instruments in the middle, and in front of Chris, there's a repetition of the flight instruments that I've got, which I guess is in case John Hutchinson goes mad, gets drunk, has to be restrained, takes over and they get hijacked, or he hijacks the plane himself. I don't know, but Chris Norris, who's the co-pilot, can take over. Noel seems excited by all of this. He says there's a raft of different switchery, and it's and then we go to the first bit of reportage, I suppose, of other stuff, which we see John Hutchinson jumping out of a plane, doing a free fall dive from a clip from 1986. I'm not really sure why we're being shown this. You know what fucks me off all the way through this? I was waiting for something like this to happen, but at no point do we speak to any of the passengers on this Concorde flight.
No. Well, they're
they're
high net worth individuals and they insist on privacy.
Exactly. I'd love to have Noel talking to at least two or three of them. You'd have thought Noel would have engineered, let's call them, a charity case of some kind to be on this plane.
Now, I fixed it for a young lad who's got no working limbs whatsoever.
Legally, I'm not allowed to use the word "fixed it." I arranged it.
I have facilitated a young disabled chap to come on this Concorde, and it's made his life. And he's agreed to call me for the purposes of the following item: Papa Noel. A bit like, I see myself very much like Daddy Warbucks out of Annie, but for a more modern generation.
Daddy Noel Bucks. I want you to call me Daddy Noel Bucks. Or just Daddy for short.
Daddy Warbucks is fucking awesome. We should deep dive that cunt at some point.
Yeah, he's very good. Yeah.
He's fucking mad, isn't he?
So yeah,
hello, Daddy Warbucks. He's always on the phone to Roosevelt. It's that cunt Roosevelt on the line again. Yeah, what do you want now? Money, I suppose. Well, listen, I got my work cut out because I've recently adopted an orphan girl. Yeah. So, no, I don't know what the legalities are. I'm Daddy Warbucks, so I just fucking did it. I don't care. But no, I haven't got a licence. Who's going to fucking challenge me? I'm Daddy Warbucks. Yeah, Daddy Warbucks. That's what I'm calling myself now since I adopted this kid. Yeah, that's right.
What do you mean it's weird? Fuck off.
Fuck off. Hey, hey, Roosevelt, why don't you go fuck yourself? Yeah, calling me up asking for help left, right and centre because you fucking tanked the economy. right? Calling me from your fucking wheelchair in the White House. You're a fucking fraud. And if you're going to call me and start raising question marks over who I do and don't adopt and invite to live in my massive mansion...
What I choose to call myself.
then basically, get stuffed. Goodbye.
So John Hutchinson's done this free fall of 8,000 feet. I think it is something like that. I don't know. It's weird. His target is a gravel circle on the ground, and he just lands on the edge. He just gets it, and then runs out from it as he lands. So I'll give him that. I'll give him full marks for that. And yeah, it's I don't know why it's there. It's a clip from 3 years earlier. I would have thought if you can do a 50-minute show about flying Concorde, you can fill it up pretty easily. But no chat with the crew, other than in the flight deck. You know, no chat with the trolley dollies, as they're called.
No banter.
None with the passengers. It's just, I don't know. It's an unusual bit of television. Then there's an interview with the co-pilot, who's Chris Norris, and he says John's going to fly to Miami today, and he'll allow me to fly it back tomorrow. That's nice of him. He will allow me. I allow you, Chris. And then there's some more filler. What's the Isle of Wight? I thought this bit might interest you, Sam.
They fly over the Isle of Wight, do they?
Areas. They fly. Have you not watched all of this yet?
No. I'll tell you why in a minute.
Well, you might want to tell us now, because there's very little going on here before the end of this episode.
All right, well, I'll tell you. I was watching it.
Go on then.
And they were talking about the instruments, right? And like, you know, you've already covered that. And they were going through every instrument one by one. And I was sitting there eating a biscuit, and I had a pretty difficult day because the boiler's packed in, right?
Oh, shit.
And not only that, the boiler packed in. So my whole day has been taken over by ringing round, getting quotes, basically researching boiler logistics, right? Which is no small feat, but I think I've pulled off a logistical victory.
Good.
On the same day, I wiped my bum earlier after a shit, and there was blood. So I've thought, fucking great. What a day. The boiler's packed in and my arse is bleeding.
And I'm shitting blood. Yeah.
Right? That is like the two worst things. That every day, every middle-aged man in Britain wakes up and thinks,
it's the double whammy, isn't it?
God,
yeah.
Please, God, you pray every day, as long as I can wake up and as long as I can get through one more day. They say it when you go to the older alcohol groups, you know, in recovery. Go, please hire spirit. Spirit, please. Let me get through the next 24 hours without the boiler packing in or any blood coming out my arse, right? That's what you say, right? It's called the higher spirit chant. Right?
Right.
And both things have happened. I don't know what I've done to displease my higher spirit, but both things have happened within the same 24 hours. So that's a disaster, isn't it?
Is the boiler, is it a gas engineer? Are they able to look at your arse as well? Or is it just...
I've been asking them. I've been on the phone and on live web chat to... It feels like almost every boiler engineer or facilitator in the UK. And all of them I've been trying... Because the good thing is there's so many of them compete with your business. You can like play them off against each other a little bit to squeeze down the price and get extra things. So earlier on I was like, okay, I like this price. I'll be honest, I'm being offered similar by other providers, other suppliers. But I like you because you say you can install tomorrow. And at the moment, I am looking at going around my mother-in-law's for a shower, which is not ideal.
Especially not if there's blood pouring out your arse.
It's just the last thing she needs. If I leave fucking spots of blood all over her white porcelain tiles. Sam, why is there arse blood? Why is there blood in the bathroom? Is it out of your arse? Oh, that, no, it's out of my nose. I just had a nosebleed.
Cut myself shaving.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about that. It looks like arse blood. You want to get that looked at? No, hang on. Let me have a look. Is that arse blood? No. I can see why you think it might have been, but no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely. So I said to them, listen, can you sweeten the deal? I want one of those Nest thermostats. You know the ones. You know the smart thermostat. And they go, Well, I'm not sure if I can do that for you, to be honest. I mean, that's like 290 quid if you 290 quid if you get it bought and installed, right?
Right.
We will provide for free just a normal digital thermostat, right? So I thought, right, for now, this is one of life's worst unexpected costs, right? So I've gone, for now, fine, I'll live with the fucking... To be honest, Andy, those, I don't know if you've got one of those digital thermostats, but really all it is that you get to fucking control your radiators when you're out of the house. I mean, it sounds fun, but I can live without it.
I hardly use it, to be honest. I've got it switched off. The battery went flat on it a while ago.
You can manually adjust the fucking radiators in each room in your house, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My house isn't that big, in all honesty. It doesn't take me long to go to one of the kids. Hey, get yourself upstairs and turn the fucking radiator down in my room. In fact, no, leave it up in my room. Turn it down in yours. I need more heat than you.
Turn it off in yours.
I need more heat than you because I'm bigger.
Turn it off in yours and put a blanket around you or something.
Put an extra blanket on, but I need it extra hot because I've been under a lot of stress recently. Right?
I've been shitting blood.
I'm shitting blood. Turn it right up. It might help the anxiety over what's going on up my ass. Right, so I thought, fuck it. I said to the guy, he goes, I can't give you a Nest for free. And I said, all right. And then there was a pause because I've learned in negotiations, it's always good to just like sit with the silence. He didn't say anything, I didn't say anything. And in the end, after about 20 minutes, I've gone, could your engineer take a look at my arse while he's... And then they paused for another quite long period. And then they said, to what ends? And I went, my fucking rear ends, that's what ends. And I said, look, I won't lie, it's not just the boiler, and I'm not saying the two things are associated, but I have been bleeding out of my arse today, and obviously that's playing on my mind. The NHS is in crisis. I'm not fucking confident about getting an appointment with a proctologist anytime soon. So maybe your gas guy could have a look up my pipe. Can't be that much different.
It's all pipes, exactly. I was going to say it's all pipes at the end of the day, isn't it?
See if he can give it a clean out with some of his with a chemical pump through. I think that's what they call it.
As George Costanza said on Seinfeld when he was accused of pissing in the shower at the gym, it's all pipes.
Yes, I sort of thought to myself, maybe he'll, but they no dice with that. So anyway,
I would alert the NHS if I were you, just in case they could do something
about the boiler,
about the arse.
All right,
don't worry about the boiler of the NHS.
Hello, it's Sam Delaney here. Yeah, now listen.
You can dial 111, can't you?
First of all, my arse is bleeding, so any advice on that would be appreciated. Also, the fucking boiler's up the creek, and I don't know if you can send someone around to have a look at that, because ultimately that is a health issue. I mean, if we end up getting gassed in our beds, who's going to fucking pay the price for that? That's right, old NHS. So, yeah, I don't know who's going to help me.
So, watch this space, I guess.
I've had arse bleeding before in my life, and when I was younger and I had it, I would always get really scared and think, well, this is it, this is the end. And then I go to the doctor, get it all checked out, and it turns out there's 1,000,001 other things other than what you think it is, right? Yeah. Cancer of the arse. Slash bowel. Yeah.
You probably just swallowed a chicken bone or something like that, and it's done a bit of
probably something
damage
like that.
on the throat.
No, very often you're just dehydrated, or you haven't been eating enough fibre. I did have a terrible day. On Sunday, I went to the football, and I woke up late, and I had a few things to do in the morning, and I rushed out without having a proper breakfast, which is unlike me. I'm usually a 3 square meals a day man, right? And as a result, I had a lunch at football consisting of 1 cup of Dow Egbert's instant coffee, right?
Football lunch.
Yeah, 1 packet of salt and vinegar crisps and 1 4-finger Kit Kat.
That's not a lunch.
It was disgusting.
That's one of my lunches.
Yeah, exactly. And then 2 days later, I'm not surprised to be bleeding out my arse, because my body is used to a lot of spinach, broccoli, beans, roughage. I eat a lot of good stuff, and now my body's like, are you fucking joking?
Your body's rejected you.
Yeah, my body's rejecting me, which it used to do regularly.
Your mind.
In my 20s, it used to regularly reject me, so I know the symptoms. So it's basically punishing me. But what with that and the boiler, it's been a nightmare.
Jalapeño.
So anyway, getting back to Noel. So I was sitting there. And
Can I just say before you end on that bit? Would you like listeners to get in touch with advice unsolicited about what you should do?
Forget about the boiler. I did ask earlier on Twitter for some advice. I got some good bits of advice, but I have now, because it was one of those things. My day, I had a lot of to-dos today on my to-do list, Andy. But this situation with the boiler, when your whole day gets hijacked. I mean, I know for a fact it happens to you sometimes. Just weird things come from left field that you weren't expecting. Very often it's the kids are responsible, but it could be anything. And life, like, it sort of blindsides you, doesn't it? And so today has just been taken over. Everything else on my list has gone by the wayside, eventually, through a huge amount of, utilising my skills as Britain's best journalist, really, a huge amount of research, I think I've pulled off a deal that is suitable to all of us. And the new boiler will be fitted tomorrow morning.
Wow.
According to what they've told me. So that's not bad, is it?
I mean, today I was just sitting out the back having a cup of tea because the sun was out, and I noticed the fella next door's getting his roof assessed by a local roofer.
Interesting.
For some work that's getting done. And I had a couple of tiles that flew off in the wind a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I just collared him and I says, look mate.
Hey, Cocker, over here.
Hey, got a job for you. You probably got a couple of tiles in the back of your van. You just do it now. A couple of tiles come off. Yeah. He came and had a look, and he pointed out many things that are wrong with my roof that need to be
of course he is.
Fixed to the tune of about 850 quid.
Yeah.
But so there you go.
Hey, never mind all that. Just fucking replace those tiles. They're always going to come out of that shit.
I'll worry about that bit of concrete that's crumbling away, that's allowing all the water just to come into me fucking house.
Keep your snout out of the rest of my roof.
That.
Yeah, that's the problem with getting anyone round. They're always fucking fine. So anyway, as a result of all this chaos going on, I finally thought, it got to 2, and I thought, right, okay, I've sorted it. The arse has not bled in the last couple of hours. Maybe I've stemmed the tide there. I've been drinking plenty of water. I had porridge and strawberries for breakfast. I'm hoping that will do me some good, right? So I thought, right, got to watch Noel. So I start watching it, and I thought, to be honest, right, I could be dead soon. And I thought, this is the most boring programme that's almost ever been put out on primetime television, right? They're literally this really boring pilot talking to Noel Edmonds, who is spellbound. So he's not even getting... Usually Noel can liven up boring bits by Noel play. But Noel is so interested.
He's so earnest, isn't he?
He's so earnest that there's no Noel play. He's just sitting there and he's drinking it in. He's in dreamland, right? And so it's like his Make-A-Wish Day. Right, he's on Concorde.
It is,
and that's what that's what the show's all about. He said, "This is I want to go, and I want to not only fly. I can afford to fly on Concorde whatever I want, but what money cannot buy, but status can, is being given a live commentary throughout the flight by the crew. Right." But it's extremely tedious, and they're going through the instruments, and I kept thinking, they call all these instruments. It's a bit fucking overblown. I mean, we're podcasters. What do we use? A microphone and a laptop. That's it. And some headphones. We don't call them instruments. Maybe we should. Maybe we should call them our podding instruments. I do. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, okay, instruments is a good word to start using. And then I thought, fuck this. But then in the side panel, I saw Kirsty Young interviewing Noel Edmonds on Channel 5 in 1999. Right. And the more these boring fucking pilots droned on about their instruments, the more my eyes kept drifting over to lovely Kirsty Young. By the way, I think one of the great broadcasters of this or any age. I really do. I think she's absolutely supreme. And if you get a chance, mate, listen to her. I've always thought that. I think I've said it before. Like, she is fucking good, right, at interviewing people. But if you get a chance, she was recently on Desert Island Discs as the what do you call it? Yeah, no, what do they? Castaway. The Castaway. Yeah. So Lauren Laverne was interviewing her, two of the best broadcasters, right? And so it was quite the meeting of minds. And I didn't know much about Kirsty Young's backstory, but mate, it's an impressive one. Very impressive.
Is it?
Very.
Is she a widow?
Unfortunately for you, no. You know who her husband is? Is Nick Jones, who is the proprietor and founder of the Soho House network of media hubs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So absolutely minted. They got double income, right? And access to all sorts of media hubs everywhere in the world. So she's lucky there.
Yeah, free.
Yeah, free. She goes in free.
Gold card.
She probably doesn't.
Yeah.
She probably eats for free in them, mate.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, I think knowing her, she wouldn't lord it up because listen to her story. She's from a very humble background in Scotland, right? I think her mum and stepdad ran a sweet shop. Anyway, it's a good story, and if you don't already have a lot of respect for her, wow, you'll have more when you listen. She's a wonderful woman. Anyway, she's interviewing Noel Edmonds in 1999, and it's billed as Kirsty Young interviews Britain's best paid entertainer, right? That's what he's billed as. And she goes, he's been around for decades. In 99, they're already talking about the fucking breathtaking longevity of his media career, right? And you're thinking, that's 99. That's what, that's 24 years ago, right? And
that was halfway through because he'd been at it for about 25, 26 years then. So
yeah. And that's what they're talking about.
Halfway point between then and now.
They're talking about it and they're looking back and she's going, God almighty, you've done this for so long. And he's going, yeah, I've been doing it for fucking ages.
Yeah.
He's going, I've been at the BBC for 30 fucking years. Next question. Right? But it's so funny because she says, we caught up with Noel at his 1,000-acre mansion, right, in Devon, right? And it cuts to him from the studio where she's saying it, then cuts away. And her words are over images. And he comes around the corner in a classic Noel get-up of baggy slacks and shiny shirt tucked in. And he is, and as it says, his 1,000-acre or whatever it is mansion in Devon, he comes around the corner and he's walking down a hill outside his compound in Devon. And I'm not joking, he is doing the full Liam Gallagher walk. I'm not even exaggerating, right? He is literally, his arms, he's like, basically it's the full Manchurian strut. It's the Manx strut. His arms are out behind him and his fucking legs are as wide apart as they can go. And he's walking down this hill, literally like, in the sunshine. Like he is fucking lording it. He might as well have his cock hanging out of his fucking flies, right? Because he's like, that's right, cunts. Welcome to my world. And as he walks around the corner with a really solemn look on his face, right, doing the Liam Gallagher, and she goes, at his mansion in Devon, home to his fleet of sports cars and his pride and joy. And the pride and joy, his helicopter. And as he comes around the corner, just parked in the driveway outside the front door, like Roy Race, is a big fucking shiny helicopter. And he kind of looks over as if to say, that's right, cunts. That's my fucking run around.
Drink it in.
So I thought, I thought to myself, this is better than listening to these pilots.
Yeah,
so
it feels diveable.
I watched most of it. He pretty much reins himself in and tries to behave in quite a modest way, but you know a lot of it's bullshit. He lets it, but she goes, because they're interviewing him in the sort of imperial era, the first imperial era of Chris Evans, 1999, and Chris Evans has just won the top industry award in radio at the Sony. And she says, I was at the Sony Awards the other day and Chris Evans won the absolute top prize, and obviously he's the number one guy these days, and he's got up on stage and he said, there's a few people I'd like to thank. And she said, and to everyone's surprise, the two broadcasters he thanked were yourself and Steve Wright, because he said that it was you and the example you gave him when he was younger that made him decide that he wanted to do this for a living, right? What did you think of that? And he goes, yes, a few people informed me of that, and I was very pleased. But a few people also informed me that Chris was very sorry for some of the attacks he had made on me earlier in the year, right? And I'm like, yes, rubbing my hands together, right?
Here we go.
And and Kirsty Young, because she's brilliant, just calmly goes, oh, really? I didn't know about those. What were they? Right? You fucking know, Kirsty. You cheeky cow. Right?
You know, he knows, I know.
He goes, oh, he got stuck into a house party. He got stuck into me. He went, look, Chris is a extremely talented broadcaster. I've got a lot of respect for him. But he gets stuck into me and he gets stuck into a lot of people, pretty much everyone. And that is one side of him that, frankly, I despise.
Fucking hell.
It's like pretty brutal. Despise is a pretty big word.
Big word.
He goes, this is a tough enough industry without us all turning on each other. And I'll just say that's something that Chris has definitely got to work on in himself. So that was an enjoyable bit. And the other most enjoyable bit that I've seen so far is when she's going, what do you think of telly nowadays, like especially kids telling something? He goes, I love Live and Kicking, and I love its predecessor, Saturday Superstore. Obviously at this point I'm like, oi, go on, no, right? As like a huge fan of Saturday Superstore in particular.
It's the swap shop lineage, though, isn't it? You know,
and he goes,
they're reinventing my wheel, but
all of
anyway.
that. He goes, no, he does say, you'd expect me to say this, but I think their output, Saturday morning output, remains extremely strong. In terms of their overall kids' television, though, I have to say I don't like it when it bleeds into the soaps, and they seem to be putting it into kids' TV real estate and encouraging the kids to watch it. She went, do you mean the Australian soaps? She goes, that's right. She goes, what don't you like about me? He goes, it's the sheer superficiality, right? I thought, well, that's a bit rich coming from the bloke who's made a career out of gunging people, but fair enough, right? And he goes, I told the Radio Times and got in hot water for knocking the soaps. But the thing is, I just simply do not want my daughters sitting, watching bloody Australians living out this superficial lifestyle. Again, I don't think that the lifestyle they were living in Neighbours or Home and Away was particularly superficial, not by the Kardashian standards of today. Yeah. I thought they reflected pretty... I mean, Helen Daniels had a stroke. What's her name? Died in childbirth. It was Desi's missus who ran the coffee shop, right? Daphne.
Oh, was it Daphne? Yeah.
She died. This is real shit, right? That they were coping with.
Someone took acid once, didn't Jim?
Mushrooms.
They
took mushrooms. Right, so there was a lot of...
Bouncer had a dream.
There was a lot of, I think, shit that was quite reflective of... I mean, I'm not saying it was Lochian, but by Australian standards, it probably was. Right. Anyway, he says something really funny. He goes, and I just think I don't want them watching that when they could be. They'd probably do something they'd much rather be doing, like playing with their ponies. Right? And I thought, oh, no, come on. You didn't have to say that.
Get the real world.
Why did you have to fucking bring in the fact that they've both got ponies, right? How can we... I thought you were on the verge of making a legitimate point there, and then you said, why are they having... I bought them those fucking ponies, and yet they're sat on their ass watching a fucking dog have a dream in Australia. They're fucking waste of money. I might as well sell those ponies back to the glue factory.
Who's having to clean the fucking shit up from the ponies? Yours truly.
And where are those fucking brats? Ogling Brad from Neighbours, the muscular surfer dude, as they no doubt would refer to him as. Mind you, those are Leslie twins, especially one of them. One of them's much sexier than the other. I can't remember, Caroline and Christina. I believe it's Caroline who's the fitter one, but I tell you what, I'd have either. Next question.
Are we now deep diving something that's completely separate to what we're meant to be deep diving?
I'm just telling you the truth.
I haven't even seen.
I'm putting the truth on the table, and the facts are these. 1, my boiler broke yesterday. 2, my arse is bleeding. 3, I got so bored of listening to the details of the cockpit of Concorde that I switched to watching Kirsty Young interviewing Noel Edmonds in 1999. I'm not going to lie to you, Andy, because I've got too much respect for you. Our working relationship has been too long for me to pretend to you that I could bear watching the Concorde footage any longer.
That's fine. I'd say there are only 2 really notable bits left in this. Right. Like I say, there's some segments that have got nothing to do with Concorde at all. There's some fella in Australia. Actually, Noel lives in fucking New Zealand now, so he's changed his tune a bit, hasn't he? Since 1999. About
whole different kettle of fish in New Zealand. Let me tell you, there's no superficialities here. They barely have fucking television. Nation.
So there's some of the stuff, and then we have the landing of the plane. Noel is giving us some plane talk that he knows that we don't. He says we've got 1,000 feet to go to our clearance level of 5,000 feet, and the auto throttles increase the engine thrust to maintain that altitude. That just means fuck all to anybody.
Yeah.
It lands, And we see a long shot from the side of the runway of the plane actually landing. And he says, as it lands, he says, "Now watch the wingtips. That famous Delta wing swirl." What? What?
Fucking
what
hell,
famous
mate.
Delta wing swirl? What does that mean?
Yeah,
And I
why
looked
is he
out
saying
for it,
that?
I couldn't
And
see
this
it.
did go out prime time on BBC One, right? It was Sunday.
Yeah. This is fanboy TV. It's not for everyone. They land the plane. They're in the cockpit. The co-pilot Chris says, "Sticks forward," which is put the brakes on. I think. And Noel laughs on voiceover as it's landing. You see the wheels touch the runway, and he says, "Yes, sir, a real greaser."
Why is he? You're right. Why is he using all this language that he knows for a fact he's alienating everyone watching?
Yeah. And I had to Google it, and apparently it means greasing the runway. It's a smooth landing.
Yeah, but you know what? This reminds me of a conversation we were having off air yesterday about how sometimes in life you can almost identify someone. You can always identify someone who's a bit off when they start using technical terms casually on purpose to try and baffle you. Bit of a Jake Humphrey move. And we were talking about people in business who like to do that. They start to chuck in business terms to sort of try and scare you.
Fiduciary.
Yeah. And you're like, mate, why don't you just fucking explain? Just in life generally, why don't we just all explain ourselves a bit better and not try to fucking feel big about yourself by chucking in words that make no sense?
I might get my phone, what do you call it, my fucking ringtone changed to a recording of Noel saying, "Yes, sir, a real greaser."
Yeah.
Okay, and then it lands. Noel congratulates John Hutchins, thinks he's almost minute perfect.
Well
3
done.
hours and 38 minutes. And then it ends, and Noel is standing next to Concorde as it's getting fucking washed or whatever as they do afterwards. And he does this fantastic piece to camera, and I transcribed it. And this is like Noel's kind of address to the nation.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
like the Queen's speech.
World.
But no.
Much.
And a little bit
He
like
says,
when Jerry Seinfeld used to do Jerry's final thoughts. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, the stand-up bit. He says, "It should be remembered that when Concorde was introduced, she was heavily criticised by the US Senate, by the environmentalists," there's a little bit of venom in his voice when he says environmentalists, "and by the faceless civil servants who described her as a golden albatross."
Those cunts.
And he says, "But she's found her own place in aviation history, and I like to think she occupies a very special place in all our hearts. We all talk about Concorde in a different way. We might say, there's A747 or ADC-10, but we only ever talk about Concorde, despite the fact that British Airways operates 7 of these aircraft." And of course, when she was introduced, many people said it was just for the privileged, for the powerful, for the wealthy. But even that's not true, because over the years, tens of thousands of people chartered Concorde, and for them, a trip on this aircraft is indeed a trip of a lifetime. And then he turns and he just stares and gazes upon Concorde. And thankfully, he's only filmed from the waist up, because I imagine he's sporting
He's definitely
quite a
got a big
significant
hard on.
erection.
And
at
in
this
those
point.
baggy sort of pleated slacks he likes to wear, it would be very visible.
It would.
Be like a tent pole.
It ends, and the credits roll of what appears to be an entirely 100% male production. You wouldn't be surprised at that.
Of course, yeah.
that's Noel Edmonds' Concorde special, and I'm glad that we got to the end of it.
Yep. Who knows what we've got next in our content pipeline?
I don't know. We've got a list
the
of things
content
that
pump
we're
line.
going to do. It'll be some kind of Odyssey, and it'll begin next week. But for that, we've now touched down with Noel and Concorde, and we're disembarking, and we're now both off to the Greggs in the airport. That's what we have at Newcastle anyway. I don't know what you have at Heathrow. You have a Greggs at Heathrow Airport, you know?
I've not seen one. It depends. There's like loads of terminals, and they have different outlets in each one.
There is. Yeah. There's just where you come out. Arrivals. There's one arrivals area in Newcastle,
so as soon
next to it.
So it's like as if you've been abroad and you've been starved of pasties. Like as soon as you get off, you can just rush straight and just give me fucking any pastry you've got.
Yes, and it's open 24 hours as well, Sam.
Do you know what, Greg? Do you know like when you used to go to the chippy and they'd just take the off bits of like batter, and you could actually go in and ask for a bag of that. like, did they call it scraps or whatever? And you just get like the scraps of batter.
Yeah.
They should do that at Greg's with the flakes of pastry, because every single pie and pasty, the flakes fall off in the warming counter and they just throw them away. But you could sweep them all up and sell them in a bag for £1 a time.
You could drink them from the bag, wouldn't you?
Exactly, you'd drink them.
At the end of a bag of
Or
crisps.
you could pour a huge amount of salt on it and then shake it.
Another genius delayed idea. What a day you're having.
Yeah, it's been a big day for a man whose arse is bleeding. I'm operating on almost full cylinders. Imagine when my arse isn't bleeding, how powerful I am.
Maybe, I think you're in panic mode.
Yeah, it's the adrenaline shooting through me.
Overdrive.
I feel that the Reaper is finally catching up with me, and I've got to sort of complete all of my projects ASAP.
Well, there you go. As I say, we'll be back with something else next week. And thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.